YouTube, are we live? You live, YouTube? Doing okay? Yep, it's good. I see what's going on. It's Thursday, March 12th, 2026. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight we are talking about the assessment of risk. So, a couple days ago, it was like 73, 74 degrees, like sunny and beautiful.
For an hour or two.
Yep.
You know, it was that kind of day. They were those days where it starts cold, the sun comes out, it gets warm, the sun goes away, and it rapidly gets cold.
Yep.
But you had hours of actual warmth in there. Right?
And I made the most out of that time. I enjoyed it. But today, you know, I'm at work, and one of my coworkers is like, it's going to snow today. And I saw that in the forecast, so I ignored it. But other people were like, what? No way. And they're giving him shit about it. And then in the afternoon, in our 17th story window, it starts hella snowing in Midtown. Like big puffy snowflakes flying around everywhere. And everybody is just like, the whole office like walks to the windows. And everyone has the same collective, motherfucker, I thought it was spring. But yeah, it'll be nice soon enough. And we're going to have our 3 weeks of rain before we can actually get nice weather again, I think.
We'll see how many weeks of cold. Sadly, it'll probably be a cold PAX East again.
Yep. At least I don't feel too bad about my busted arm right now, in that the only thing I want to do is run and bike, and right now the weather is too meh, so I'm not going to be doing either one of them. So those grapes taste like shit. I don't need to worry about them.
In another small thing, you know how sometimes websites, e-commerce websites will have a wrong price by accident.
Oh, yeah.
And then you try to order something thinking, I'm going to get, I think one time I tried to buy a computer for like $20.
Yeah. I tried to buy a very expensive laptop for $400 once.
Yeah, I think there are a few, I forget exactly the details, but I've tried to do it a few times.
It's never worked out for me.
Basically every time they just cancel the order. Like, sorry, no, that's not happening, right? And that obviously can't happen in a real store, because the real store has a human being who's going to check you out and be like, no, right?
Yeah.
Or let me just check on this, right?
It's like, that Xbox is $1? Give me a minute.
Yeah. It would be really weird. I'm sure it probably has happened in a real store, but very unlikely. This could only happen where there's like an automated e-commerce system, and even then, somehow they always catch it. But
yeah.
On the official NHL website, somebody in the hockey community was like, hey, this hockey jersey that's normally $230 is $20. And it's like, I got enough hockey jerseys. I wasn't interested in that one when it came out. It's like, I don't plan to buy another one for many years. Right? But it's like $20. It's like, why not?
Yep.
And I assumed they were going to cancel the order. Nope, they did not cancel the order. It showed up already. And it's indeed an authentic, normally $230 jersey for $20. And also, the website must have some kind of dynamic pricing, because as soon as I ordered, the price went up to like $50, and now the price is like $60 or $70. I don't know what sizes they have left, but something's going on there dynamic pricing wise. But I got one for $30 because there was shipping and tax. But
that ain't bad.
That's like 90% off.
That's like what the worst tier hat would cost normally.
I could probably sell it at a profit if I didn't want it. So finally that worked out in my favor. Bank error, or not error. Maybe that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a roundabout marketing scheme, and they got to get rid of that inventory.
It's a clearance sale, right?
Yeah.
But it's an extreme clearance sale.
I mean, I remember when Children's Palace was going out of business, and the final week they put ads everywhere in our whole, like all of Southeast Michigan, and they were like, look, the store will be open at these hours, and everything in the store is 90% off the last price that was stuck to the object. And let me tell you, being in that store was Mad Max. It was amazing.
I remember trying to go to the media play clearance,
Yep.
liquidation. I think, did we go to Circuit City liquidation also?
We did, because I remember I was thinking about buying that shelf because they were selling all the like fixtures, and that shelf was like $10, but we couldn't fit it in the car.
Yeah, but the liquidations at those kinds of stores like this, usually all the good inventory is just gone, right? Though I do think we went to the linens and things liquidation, and I bought some just plain glass tumblers for like a few dollars, and over time most of them broke, but
Yeah.
I think there's three left out of 10.
Well, the Children's Palace one ended really well. I think I told this on GeekNights a long time ago, but we beelined to the video game section. Of course, there's nothing there, like obviously.
No.
But what had actually happened is the staff had moved all the Super Nintendo games, which is all they had left, to like a different part of the store, and they didn't put any signs up, but they were there and for sale. We found it. And there were just all these SNES games. We bought one copy of every single game they had because, I mean, 90% off an
90%
SNES game
off.
in the 90s.
You
Like,
could just resell them at work if you.
Yeah. And I'd say about
you could just buy them and take it to Funko Land and profit.
Yep. And I'd say 80% of those 90% off games were bad, but the tennis game, the non-Mario, like regular old tennis game, was actually really, really good. We played that a lot.
Yeah. I think these days a lot of the problem is when someone liquidates like that, before the general public goes into raid, right?
Yep.
Is there's a liquidator comes in and takes all the actual valuable shit.
Yeah.
Right?
All that's
That
left
it,
is like coat hangers when you go.
Right.
So as a little, I guess a geek bite, I don't know what I call this, but 2 listeners emailed me, and one of our friends was asking, so I'll tell the actual story of how I busted my arm, like what's going on with me. I also do have regular news. You know, the whole skiing thing.
Don't ski.
Hey, skiing is one of these safer sports.
Okay.
And I have hurt myself biking as well.
Compared to what?
Compared to driving, compared to riding in a car.
Shark fighting, gorilla wrestling.
I mean, I imagine only experts are wrestling gorillas, so they're probably really good at not being killed by the gorilla.
But that's the point, is that expert skiers keep getting hurt.
So actuary tables, I do know this. Most people, the vast majority of all ski crashes that lead to a serious injury are novice skiers on what are called blue or intermediate trails. So people who should be on the greens because they don't know how to ski. They barely know how to ski. They ski like once or twice a year, and they ski on an intermediate trail, and they lose control, and they go to the side of the trail, and they hurt themselves badly.
I've seen a lot of crashes at Olympic skiing.
Well, so Olympic skiing, that is also dangerous, but that is not the kind of skiing most people do. So very few people.
There are professional people still hurt themselves.
Right? But those professional people are doing the extreme edge of what their profession allows them to do. If that person is skiing like a regular old double black diamond at a normal mountain, the odds of them hurting themselves are basically 0.
Seen people hurt themselves.
Yeah, but the stats show that most people who hurt themselves skiing are extremely inexperienced skiers who are skiing trails too difficult for them. It's pretty rare for advanced skiers to hurt themselves seriously.
Look, if you play a nice activity like basketball or something, it's like inexperienced people aren't hurting themselves.
Basketball has a high rate of serious ankle and knee injuries, though.
Yeah, that's if you play it too much.
Well, also, actually, it's novices again. People who aren't super fit or haven't worked out a lot, and they play basketball and they play a little too hard. It's so easy to roll your ankle, and because your muscles aren't that strong, it'll be a way worse outcome.
Also, rolling your ankle, you're not going to die, right? It's like you're skiing.
No, most ski accidents aren't fatal. Fatal ski accidents are like super
rare.
Rare.
Michael Schumacher is still alive after his ski accident, but he hasn't been seen since then.
Yeah, but cyclists die cycling way more often than skiers die skiing per mile. Anyway, so we're in Vermont. I've never skied Vermont before, other than Killington. So the idea was we're going to hit a bunch of mountains in Vermont. So we went to Okemo, which was fun. We went to Stowe. This is like the keystone of the trip. We also stayed at the Van Trapp Lodge, like the actual Van Trapps that were featured their story in The Sound of Music. Like it's their lodge, it's their family. And it was a really cool place. But we're skiing there. And to quote my ER doctor directly, "You are too good at skiing for your own good," because he was laughing at how I hurt myself. I spent the entire trip skiing double black diamonds, like ridiculous nonsense, cliff jumping. Like I actually practiced cliff jumping. I did like 11 cliff runs on this trip. At no point did I hurt myself. Everything's fine. So it's the last day of the trip. It's in the late afternoon. I am on an easy trail that I've done with our friend Skojo and like the other people on the trip, like 5 or 6 times. Just this easy run. We're just doing it over and over again, like enjoying ourselves, enjoying the nice weather. Like nothing crazy. I wasn't even going
nice weather in the cold on a mountain.
Yeah, it was warm now because we're getting near the end of the season. It's like 40 degrees, bluebird day.
That's cold.
That's fine. You're an old man.
That's cold.
And it wasn't the situation. A lot of skiers, there's always this sort of joke of the best way to hurt yourself is to say, I'm just going to do one more run, because that's how you hurt yourself. But no, I was planning to do 2 or 3 more runs. So I'm doing this trail that I've done a bunch of times, and I'm coming up over a ridge, and I don't know the exact moment that happened because when I hit my head, I have retrograde amnesia, which is very common for minor concussions and pre-concussions, meaning you don't lose any memory and you don't have any like concussion symptoms, but you lose anything that was in the buffer of your brain that wasn't committed yet by the limbic system to long-term memory. So you lose the 20 to 30 seconds leading up to the bounce and 5 to 10 seconds after the bounce. And then your memory picks up again. So the only way I know what happened is how I was injured. And looking at my slopes, because on slopes, which is like Strava for skiing, you can see me doing all these runs. And on the final run, you see me going. I'm only going like 25 miles an hour. Like I'm not even doing anything crazy. And then you see me suddenly stop.
You're like 25 miles an hour, not crazy. Yeah, if a car hits you at 25 miles an hour, you're in big trouble.
Well, cars have a lot of momentum compared to like, a guy.
I'm just saying,
25 is not fast for skiing.
If your body is moving at 25 miles an hour and you hit anything, it's going to do serious damage.
Well, I mean, I have wiped out at speeds more like 35 to 40 before and been fine because this was an unlucky accident. So I must have gotten bounced into the air by crud because the snow conditions weren't super great. And I landed on my left arm and immediately broke my radius and chipped my ulna. And then I pivoted over and I landed right on the right side of my face. And I woke up to a guy. I saw a guy skiing toward me and I'm like, well, I must have hurt myself. And I'm just laying there thinking, all right, I think that arm's broken. Everything else seems okay. And I think I was unconscious. And then the guy skis up and he's like, hey, buddy, you don't look too bad. I'm going to go get ski patrol. Don't forget, you were out for like 5 seconds. Don't forget, just in case you might have an injury, 5 seconds, you were unconscious. And he kept reminding me, which I remembered. Okay. So then the ski patrol shows up and they laugh and they're like, last run of the day. And they splint me up and they're like, oh yeah, that arm's broken. And I got to ride down in the little sled while the 2 ski patrol guys like guide me down the trail in the sled. And I get down.
Other sports, don't need a patrol. And if they had a patrol, the patrol wouldn't think a broken arm is no big deal because those people must see 10,000 broken arms because skiing is so dangerous.
No, there's actually a very small, like a pretty small number of injuries per day at a given ski resort. It's actually really low. Ski patrol is partly a historical thing and partly a lot of the guys who do ski patrol, the deal is they basically get to ski for free or they're being paid to ski and have fun. And they're not so much, they don't have to respond to that many big crashes. Usually they're responding to minor injuries, like super minor crashes, and they're patrolling the areas that aren't commonly skied to see if anyone was stupidly skiing by themselves somewhere dangerous and hurt themselves and no one knew, like that kind of thing. So they get down, and this is when they assess me, and they check out my eyes, and they're like, okay, he doesn't seem to have a concussion. And they never spoke about my head again. I had to bring it up at the hospital because they were like, his head's fine. They're like, oh, yeah, that arm's broken. So they splint it up, and then they ask me if I can stand up. And I stand up, and I'm fine. And as soon as I stand up, the guy's like, wow, doesn't that hurt? And I'm like, nah, I think I'm fine. So they tell me this isn't worth an ambulance. Like, your friends should just drive you to a local hospital. But they wrote down the name of a specific hospital because this hospital specializes in...
They have the hospital name memorized at the ski mountain.
Yep, because this hospital is for people... Primarily in the winter, it's skiing and snowboarding people get the exact same fracture that I got.
There's so many people, they need a whole hospital just to specialize in
But most of the people who go there, it's cycling injuries because of the trail riding. It's mostly people breaking their arms, riding bikes, and horses. But they are hand and like wrist specialists, and they're like, go to that hospital. That's the better one to go to. And they were definitely right. So we just drive.
How do you know the other hospital could have been amazing? You don't know that it was shitty.
Well, because I had a great experience there. So I go in and there's no line. There's only one other person in the ER who is super hurt in not a normal skiing accident, but like a weird freak thing that happened, which I won't get into. It's this person was in bad shape.
They could still talk to you.
They could talk, and I had a nice conversation with them. They were a big nerd, and they were very injured. So I spent a lot of time talking to this kid about X-Men because I don't think he quite understood how hurt he was, and it was best for him to not dwell on it. But they took him away to a serious hospital in a helicopter later. But it was not a skiing accident. It was like a whole other thing. He was cut like dangerously badly, and he had a head injury, like a bad one. But so I'm there, and the ER guy comes and checks me out. Everything's fine. But then he's like, all right, so now we have to do something difficult. And he's being very like cautious about it. He's like, we have to reduce the fracture. And I interrupt him and say, I know what that's like. Let's just do it. And at this point, he's like, wait, really? And we talk, and I explained to him that like I come from Bellevue firefighters, like I know this kind of stuff. I know exactly what that looks like. Like, let's just do it. And then he gets excited. And then he invites all the interns in the hospital to come into the room because he wants them all to watch them attempting to reduce my injury, because basically the radius was broken at the tip, like before the joint, and it was just like kind of shattered in the middle. Like it was a full-on collimated, I think is the word, fracture, and it was like bent down inside of my arm. So they have to pull it up and get it in the right place so they can splint it, and then I could go like deal with the situation later. And this process is extremely terrifying for most people, but
I mean, yeah.
I thought it was kind of neat. So as soon as he realized I was into it, he had all the interns come and they put on a big show, and he like demonstrated the process to all of them. But he failed at first. He was putting weights on my arm, and he's got 3 interns like holding me down.
I always wonder how they do that. If there's like, it's like you don't have like a live X-ray, so it's like you just
they had a semi-live X-ray.
They
had
do it by like feel.
They do it by feel, but he had this portable X-ray, so he'd pull on it, and then he'd hit a button, and the screen would update with a new X-ray.
Oh, okay, but it's not like a real time.
Yeah, but he could hit the button and get an instant one, and he clicked it like 20 times.
Day before they knew that X-rays were bad for you, they would just like hold an X-ray tube to your arm.
That's that old thing in movies of the person standing in front of the live plate. That was like the worst fucking thing to do to a person.
It's like, all right, we fixed your broken bone, and now you have 10 cancers.
Yep. So he's got all these weights on my arm. He's got an intern holding my arm down from one end. He's got 2 interns holding onto my hand, pulling it in the other direction. And he's basically just casually describing, yeah, you're all cowards. You all are trying to be careful with this guy. You've got to pull.
That ain't gonna work.
You've got to pull way harder than you think is safe, way harder than you think he will tolerate. You can't be coward. You can't be a coward here.
It's a fast Band-Aid pull situation.
Yep.
Right. I'm always you gotta pull the Band-Aid off real quick, real hard, and it'll hurt for like a lot, but for like a fraction of a second. If you sit there peeling the Band-Aid slowly.
Yep.
That's a bad idea. That ain't going to get it done.
So then he's like, and it's still not going to work because that bone's really down there. So now I'm going to show you the trick. And he's got a trick. He's got a trick. This guy has been doing this for like 20 years. He used to work like in the East Coast, actually. Cool guy. We had a long conversation because there's nothing else to do in the ER. But he makes a loop of gauze, and he wraps it around my lower arm, and then he puts his foot in it. And then he puts my hand in basically
sort of anesthesia though.
Only a nerve block. I declined all other painkillers. I generally decline painkillers.
That's enough though.
Yeah. So I had a nerve block, but I could feel the bone sliding and grinding the whole time. Like I could feel everything that was happening in there. Like you could hear it like when he moved it around. But
don't skip.
Then he puts his hand. I mean, this is the same injury bikers get. He puts my hand in in a hand trap.
I haven't been injured that badly.
Well, you had a minor fracture, and you hit your head in nearly the same space I hit my head. But he put my fingers in basically Chinese finger traps. And then he says, "Okay, this is how you do it."
I guess those would work.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and he just steps down as hard as he can, and you see my arm like elongate by like a few inches. And then he just holds it there with his foot while he manipulates the bone. Then he's like, all right, I got it pretty good. And he looks at the x-ray. He's like, we got it. And then he slowly lets off on the foot and the bone just comes together. And the interns all clap. And he was like, you have to pull so much harder than you think is safe. That is what you can only learn by working in an ER.
I mean, if you think about it, right, it's like, we think about your muscles in your flesh, right? It's like bending, right, and flexing and whatnot, right? But only within a certain range. But that range is really, they can stretch a lot farther. The reason they don't stretch farther is because they're attached to bones. They're attached to a bone, and the bone is only so long. If I just like ripped your muscles off your bones and held them, I could stretch them way out. And so if the bone is broke, yeah, you can stretch farther, right, to make some room for the bone to go back where it needs to go.
Yep. So our friends on the trip then, they're like, all right, there's nothing else we can do for you. So they're like, we recommend you follow up with a bone guy, a bone person to check on it and to see like what the best course of treatment is. Because if you were poor, you might just leave it. And I did choose to get surgery, which I did not need because it has a better outcome. So I come home and I go to a couple days later, because that's the earliest appointment I could get. And apparently that's fine. You've got like a week to deal with this. I go to the hospital for special surgery. Same place the Rangers go. And they
Same place a lot of people go.
Yep. It's like a sports medicine specialist place. And basically the guy is super good at his job, I think. And he basically is like, look, you could leave it as is. It'll be a little bit crooked, but you're going to lose some like mobility. Like, and he explained all the ways, like it's only like 90% good, that reduction. It'll never be 100% again. And then he said, there's other options, but the best option is to get a permanent nickel plate in the bone with 7 screws. And it's a very common procedure. And what he explained is it's an expensive procedure, but if you have insurance, it's free, so you should do it. It always has a better outcome for anything other than a like completely clean, simple fracture that didn't move at all. If the bone moved even a tiny bit, you probably want a plate. There's basically no side effects. It guarantees a very high chance of a 100% return to form. And it also makes recovery a lot faster. Because if I'd left it splinted, I would have had to have a splint all the way over my elbow for like 8 weeks.
If it's a fully broken bone, how long is it going to take for those 2 pieces of bone to fully join together and return to strength? And they won't be perfectly aligned. If they cut you open, it's like, well, we can touch the bone instead of just, stretching your arm out. They can touch the bone and move it while it's still busted to put it in the exact correct position and then put a screw to hold it in that position. So even if you take the splint off, it ain't moving, right?
Yep. So basically, they put this in on Wednesday. The surgery was like nearly trivial. And even better, they also had no concerns about my concussion because they were like, yeah, you have 0 symptoms. Like, you're fine. But I was worried about anesthesia because there is some evidence that going under full anesthesia, if you have recently had a head injury, even a minor one, is like getting another head injury for a bunch of complicated reasons I don't understand. And it's not well studied. So they agreed, again, because I was pretty tolerant of all the other pain, that they would just do sedation instead of full anesthesia. So
yeah, that's what I had. I mean, I was sedated for the butt surgery, right? The anesthesiologist called it sedation, but like,
oh, you're still out. You're still gone.
It might as well have been full anesthesia.
I remember. I remember getting rolled in.
I woke up in a different room with a new butthole. So it's like,
at the Irish Setzer. Yeah, I roll into the EOR. They're playing music, like they got some Zeppelin going, and they're all like, ha, doing a wrist surgery. This will be fun. They're all really chill. And then the anesthesiologist like, all right, I'm your bartender, so I'm gonna. And then the next thing I remember is Emily handing me a juice box.
Yeah.
So yeah, based on all my following checkups and everything, if I had a concussion, it is subclinical and I have 0 symptoms. I didn't bust anything else. I even got my eyes examined just in case. Perfect, like everything's fine. So
well, yeah, I don't think the eyes are broken.
Well, yeah, you know what? The eyes are nominal. The eyes are what they've been. They're not worse. So
I renewed my driver's license, and I just went to like local pharmacy to read the eye chart, and it's like I read the whole eye chart still, so my eyes are still.
Scott's famous for his good eyes.
I'm like, the guy's like, read line number 5. I'm like, I can read any line on there. Like,
you're like copyright 2012, like that.
Yeah, there is no line on that eye chart that I cannot read.
So yeah,
the whole store.
So I should be able to take this splint off. No cast, just a splint, and not even the elbow, just upper arm. Like this is the easiest recovery like I could have imagined. Like I'm already typing with this hand again, and I got surgery, like open wrist surgery with a plate on Wednesday last week. So yeah, basically the doctor, because it's a sports medicine place, his goal, he was very explicit about this. My goal is to return you to full capacity extreme skiing.
Well, good luck with that.
Yep. But
don't end up visiting that guy again.
When I checked, well, he was like, listen, if you break a bone again, I can guarantee you won't break it anywhere near where you broke it last time because it's going to be so much stronger than it was. That's how bones regrow. You're going to break it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm okay. GeekNights will continue apace. In fact, I got to go to India before long and London, so I don't even get to get out of all this work travel.
The airport metal detector.
So
I'm sure lots of people. I'm sure that's they probably see that at the airport like 1,000 times a day.
So
anyway, right?
I was worried I'd have to get a pin. Titanium pins set off metal detectors. Nickel plates don't. They're also 100%.
It's a nickel plate.
Nickel plate. It's MRI safe. It's basically
you can't with a magnet.
Basically, unless I have an injury on that exact part of my body again, nobody even needs to know it's in there. Like my wrist will just be completely normal.
What about an MRI though? Still.
Yep, totally safe. It even has an MRI safe certification. They showed me the certification during my whole consultation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're thinking about it.
So yeah, anyway, that's the other stories I could tell. I'll tell among friends because they involve gross stuff around like the first couple of days of recovery and everything. But in the news, Washington State is doing something fantastic that, frankly, every state should do. They are
every place on Earth should do.
Every place on Earth should do, but considering America's federal government's fucked, at the very least, New York should do it. They are passing a tax on millionaires that passed their Senate basically on party lines. Democrats are like, yeah, tax the millionaires. Republicans are like, no, don't hurt the millionaires. And it passed because millionaires are evil. But
I mean, we can't talk too much about this because we'll be here all day.
We're gonna do a whole show on this, maybe next Thursday.
Do a whole show on, right? Because I don't think people realize that, taxing, like all these problems that we complain about all the time, right? Think about every issue in society that like you're upset about, right? Maybe you're upset about human rights of LGBTQ people, or you're upset about racism, or you're upset about reproductive rights, or you're upset about
landlords,
evil monopolies, or computers are too expensive, or transportation.
Mad about the CBD TPA.
Yeah, literally anything you're mad about, right? Almost every problem in our society would be solved by taxing the rich. And that is why if you are mad about anything, right? Yes, go and complain about those things. But when you are politically, involved,
millionaires delendum est.
You should put almost all of your political changing energy wherever you are on this planet, right? The number one thing you want is tax the rich, because even if there's something else you want more, I promise you, taxing the rich will help that or completely solve that other thing, whatever.
Oh my God, I learned a thing I didn't know about Machiavelli that's super relevant, but not to. So, he writes about the people, like the people have all these rights and powers, and the people should be armed, and like all this stuff. Apparently, what he meant by the people was the millionaire class, basically, like the very wealthy. And the people he called the oligarchs equivalent, like the super wealthy, like the I forget the Superbus or whatever. What he meant by that was the equivalent in that era of the billionaires. And a lot of his writing wasn't like, oh, give the people the power. His writing was, look, millionaires are bad, but billionaires are worse. And billionaires are the ones you can fuck over and piss off the most because the millionaires outnumber them no matter what, and billionaires can always be replaced from the existing millionaires. So whenever there's a crisis, go after the billionaires. They can't stop you. The millionaires are the most dangerous people. Anyway, I learned that, and that really changed. I got to read some of Machiavelli again because that really colors what I think of him, I think.
Well, but it's also still not correct.
Well, I mean, that's one tiny piece of his bigger, thesis on how to do things. But
I
this
think
tax,
I think there is an intellectual trap of like people, read some fame, Keynes or again, Plato or whatever, some famous old name, and then therefore it's a famous old name, philosopher, thinker, Renaissance, Enlightenment figure. Therefore, everything they say is right. And it's like, no.
Yep. Put all that mercury in your face. It's good for you.
Yeah.
But this tax in Washington is amazing because one, all the right wing people are like freaking out, like they are so mad. There's lawsuits. This is going to be crazy to actually like implement it. But the tax only impacts people who have an income above $1 million a year. And I got to stress that because I'm pretty rich. Like, you know me.
Now, the thing is, does that income include all income or only W-4, W-2
gross
wages?
Annual income?
Including
gross.
Capital gains?
I believe so, but I have not read the bill.
See, because that's the important thing, right? Is because like a lot of people who are mega rich have no wages.
Yep.
Right? And so...
Well, you get a wealth tax too.
Right. Income tax in and of itself, right? Even if you limit it like this, yeah, okay, you're getting rich people who have a big income, but like, yeah, some CEO has wages of like $1 and is getting paid in stonks, and the capital gains tax is less than the income tax, and it's it's like that's the real thing is you need to tax wealth, right? And the biggest fear people have about taxing the rich is like, well, they'll leave, they'll go somewhere else. They won't. We'll talk about that another day.
Yep.
But even if they do, their assets, their wealth largely can't move.
Yep.
Right? Wealth is where it is. If there's a diamond mine or a office building or a stadium,
like you can just go take
factory,
it if they won't pay you the tax.
Right. It doesn't matter who owns it. It doesn't matter if the owner lives somewhere else. It is in your territory that you govern, and it's not moving. You need to tax it. And that is not income. That is, you need to tax property and wealth.
But anyway, since we're going to do a whole episode on that to focus on this bill. So that for all the things it does cover, all it is a 10% tax on any annual income above $1 million. And based on who will actually be hit by this with current numbers, that'll generate $3.5 billion a year in tax revenue. And those taxes will be paid by 20,000 fucking people. Yep. So anyone, I'm going to be blunt, anyone who is mad about this tax is stupid.
Yeah.
Or evil.
Or evil. Is one of those 20,000 people.
In which case you are evil.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If I made more than $1 million a year, by all means tax that.
If you gave me, think about this, it's 10% after the first million.
So I already have my million.
So you give me $1 million, and Washington State has no income tax, so I'm keeping the $1 million.
Yep.
And then you give me another $1, and you take away only 10 cents. So I'm still getting 90 cents.
Yeah. You're taking a dime.
So let's say you gave me $3 million. Well, I'd get $1 million plus 1.8 million more. So I'd have 2.8 instead of 3 million. What do I give a shit?
Yeah.
It's like, you're upset about that? Come on.
Yeah. And then the worst, that 20,000 people, nobody makes that much money. The number of people who make that much money are so small. I make about half that, and I consider myself I have too much money. I live a life of luxury.
Rim has too much money and would be unaffected by this tax.
Yeah, like literally unaffected.
An actual taxing the rich. Rim should be included.
Yeah, I mean, I like Biden's line of $400,000 a year as a starting point.
I don't like setting a number. I like setting some sort of metric that will adjust to the societal situation.
But anyway, this seems like a fantastic thing. And you know what? If those 20,000 people leave the state of Washington, I think that's also a win because very wealthy people often have negative impacts on the places they live because of their outside spending. So you win either way.
We'll talk about this, but yes, if the biggest thing I think people don't realize is, yes, if rich people leave, then there are some ways that you tax them that you will lose revenue, but if rich people leave, prices go down. If your mission is affordability, less rich people means lower prices in your area.
Or more rich people who are taxed means bunch of tax revenue to also lower prices. You win either way.
Yeah, you do it one way or the other. Right?
Yeah, you win either way is the way I'd put it. Like, either outcome's fine. Stay or leave. It's the same to us.
Right, because you either tax the rich people and use that money to make things more affordable, or rich people leave and things become more affordable because you're not bidding for goods and services against rich people.
Yep, and if you kick all the rich people out of all the nice places, like, what rich person is like, well, if New York City's going to take a dime, well, I'll go live in Oklahoma. That's the same. Like, no, they're not going to leave the cool city that they live in.
Anyway, speaking of rich people, New York City has been trying to ban foie gras, right?
Rightly.
If you don't know what foie gras is, you basically take like a duck or a goose or whatever, and you force feed it like corn until it has like the fattiest, most unhealthy liver, and it's basically lives a life of suffering and pain.
Yep.
And then they take that liver, and it's tasty.
Yep.
It's a tasty
and
liver.
there is a way to do it without force feeding, but that is hunting, and that is very rare and very expensive. So the force feeding basically reduces the price somewhat by inflicting insane cruelty on a sentient creature.
Right, reduces the price somewhat, but you can only get it in the fanciest restaurants.
Yep.
At insane
We had it
prices.
once by accident. We were at a fancy French place, and we won't eat foie gras. Like, I would never order foie gras.
I would never order it on purpose, but there have been, I think, 1 or 2 times where I've been at a restaurant where it's just tasting menu, and it's just like one of the items had it, and I didn't even know
when
till
I
it
got
came out.
I got a new job a long time ago. We went to a really fancy French restaurant to like a celebratory dinner, and they brought a pate to our table and just set it down. And we're like, "Ooh, what's this?" And we start eating it, and the waiter comes back like a second later, and we've already gotten our meat hooks all over it. That was like $400 foie gras for another table. He just dropped it off at the wrong table, and we'd already started eating it. So he's like, "Well, that's it. Can't charge you for it. Like, my bad."
Good, thanks, bro.
Yeah, and you know what? It was delicious, but it wasn't worth torturing a sentient being.
I agree, right? Foie gras is tasty, but it's like, it's not that tasty. It's not like I want it, right? It's like, there are certain things that
Look,
are,
if there's
so
a food
good.
that requires,
Like, if you think like if I think about like even just like a far less expensive food, right? Like the adobada tacos numero uno. It's like, I want to go get that. I'm thinking like it's on my mind. Like, oh, I got to go get some adobada. But it's like, even though I have tasted foie gras and I imagine tasting it again, it's like, I don't like, if it was at the store for $1, I wouldn't run out and get it. It's not that good.
Yep.
Anyway, and I've had it, and if you say, oh, you didn't have the good one, it's like, bros, I had it at like Michelin restaurants, right?
Yeah.
That's not good. It's not good anywhere. Anyway,
I had it at like a place I could barely afford to eat.
Right. The point I want to make about foie gras, right, is that in New York's been trying to ban it for a long time, New York City, and there's been a bunch of court battles. It looks like we're going to finally be able to ban it, and all the fancy restaurants in New York City won't be able to serve it. Someone will have to serve it in some secret place. I don't know, right? I guess the farms that are going to have a hard time selling it because they'll have less customers.
Good. Maybe they'll stop torturing
just
many.
Just sell duck or whatever. It's like duck is tasty, right? But and I don't want to, even if you ignore, if you might want to talk, someone might want to argue about like, oh, if you're not vegan, then you have some hypocrisy going on here, right? Listen, right? It's not about that. What it's about is that in life, there are certain times where you got to do a harm directly or indirectly, right? As a side effect for some benefit. You want to make eggs, you got to break some shells, right? The old saying goes.
Externalities.
Like, this factory pollutes, but it makes computers. And it's like, well, do we want to have a society with no computers in order to achieve zero pollution? Or should we have computers and maybe do some reduction of the pollution, right? Try to work on it, try to recycle and make less computers. That's the discussion you got to have, right? Unless you want to be a hermit in the woods. The thing with foie gras is like, okay, you're doing this harm to the ducks, right? It's like, well, you're harming the cows and you're harming the chickens and everything, right? It's like, what's the difference? The difference is that you could argue, right? It's like, well, we're harming the chickens, but it's like the chicken farms are feeding tons of people, right? Right? It's like for sustenance, right? the foie gras isn't for sustenance. It's for rich people.
Yep. Now,
Right?
there's
It's like for
arguments
a few
around
rich
the
people.
quantity of meat that Americans eat is a unnecessary luxury, but
Oh, yeah.
that's a whole other. There's a lot.
Yes.
There, let's ignore
There's,
all
there's
the
a
other
lot
side.
there. The point is that this is a harm that is, compare. You can look at any situation where you're weighing harms against benefits, right? And there's always going to be different calculus. But in this calculus of foie gras specifically, all of the benefits are to make an expensive food for rich people. That's the only benefit of it. And it's not, and in my opinion, it's not even that tasty compared to other. I would rather eat the other rich people foods like, uni or caviar or wagyu or any of those are better than foie gras.
Well, it's also, the world, we live in a society. So sometimes you have to just decide, even if the bar is too low, you put the bar somewhere. Like a society that says, you know what, you can be an absolutely egregious piece of shit, but you can't be a Nazi with a swastika. Like we've just agreed that is below the line.
Like if foie gras was somehow if the upside of foie gras was like serving the masses, right? It's like it would be more. There'd be some more argument for it, not much, but some. But it's only serving rich people.
But also, this shows New York City, and it's really interesting having a mayor for the first time in my life who just passes executive orders and like does stuff aggressively.
The only mayor no one hates yet.
Yep, because he's using the power of his office like aggressively and transparently so far. But New York City tries to do stuff like this kind of often, which speaks to kind of how New York is, because New York City is a really diverse place. Like, if you've never...
The most diverse place on the planet?
Yeah, it's the most cosmopolitan urban center in the world by pretty much every measure. It is, like, there's no other place like this. London might be the closest to what New York is. There really aren't other cities like that. But you've got such a dense, huge city with so much variety of humans, with different religions and ideas and philosophies. Like there's Trump people and conservative people here too, like everyone. But the fact that the majority of the people in that fucking place all said, you know what? Fuck foie gras. That says something. All right. The hardest part of this is I have to hit control to like move my thing around and I got to lean forward.
I guess you're not going to be doing any, how's your Overwatch going?
Actually, so get this, in the, because it's a sports like recovery hospital, I had to fill out all these forms of like what activities I want to return to. Esports is part of it, like fully recognized alongside everything else. And Overwatch was like, well, Overwatch wasn't listed, but real-time competitive first-person shooters were.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of my recovery goals, return to Overwatch. My doctor is going to...
you have not yet returned, is what I'm saying.
No, because I could play if I modified my keyboard setup, but I am unwilling to fuck with my muscle memory for something that's only going to be a 4 to 6 week delay. And also, I was platinum on my way to diamond right before I got hurt, so I'm not going to risk dropping in the ranks and playing with the plebs. Anyway. Things of the day. What do you got?
What do I have? All right. So everyone knows that if you take like a wine glass, that's most of them, right? But usually one's of a certain shape, and you put liquid in it based on how much liquid you put in it. And then you get your finger wet and you rub your finger around the rim of the glass. You can make it resonate and sing out a note, and you can adjust the water to have a different note, or adjust the glass to have a different note, right? And so I've seen a lot of performances where people will take like an array of glasses going from small to big with different amounts of water in them. And then they just, they have one note per glass, and they move their finger around the rim, play different notes, play a nice song. I think I saw it on the Gong Show once, maybe, or some kind of late night show. You don't really see that as like a legit instrument, like in an orchestra.
It's on the same spectrum as Bobby Badfingers.
Yeah, it's not illegitimate, but it's like we have a flute. It's like, how necessary is it to have a bunch of drinking glasses? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. But there is an instrument that is basically that principle taken to the maximum. It is called the glass Armonica, not harmonica with an H. Just take the H off of harmonica.
Though it does cause harm.
It indeed does. It's the glass harmonica. And the way this instrument works is they just had a shit ton of glass bowls, right? Just scaled up from really tiny to really big and covering a wide range, like increment, a lot of increments. So a lot of glass bowls. And they stack them all inside of each other. And then on a spindle, sort of like a lathe running through the middle. And so normally if you try to play wine glasses, you spin your finger around the edge. It's like, well, what if the glass was spinning? You could just touch it and it would sing its note, right? And so that's the principle of the glass harmonica is all these bowls are on their sides stacked like this giant sort of caterpillar looking thing. And you could just turn the big motor on, which is a very powerful motor, and it spins this big ton of glass bowls that weigh a lot, and it gets them going really fast, and you touch it and to sing out music. And it's a really dangerous musical instrument, as Rim said, because you have a heavy glass spinning quickly. The glass could shatter. You have to get it wet, but not like too wet, and your hand has to be wet, but you also have to get like distilled water so you don't mess up the instrument. And it's really too much of a pain in the ass. It's not used very often. But here is a video of where someone has a extremely old and still functioning glass harmonica.
This is my favorite kind of video like this, is when you've got someone who's interested in something, basically interviewing someone who is very knowledgeable about and good at the thing, just being direct and open about the nature of the thing. I love to hear an expert talk about a thing they're good at.
And much like skiing, it's best to watch dangerous things on YouTube and not do them yourself.
I think this is more dangerous than skiing.
Probably. I would, if you said, Scott, you have a choice. You could either play the glass harmonica
or ski one bunny hill.
If a bunny hill is, okay. The bunny hill seems safe, right? If it's not like a dangerous, like a, like cliff ski. I'll take the ski.
So if you played Dance Dance Revolution back in the day, there was a set of songs that all sounded like they went together. And if you were slightly astute, you would notice that they were all made by this one band that was called Erotic. And they were iconic.
I always wonder if Konami understood what those songs were.
I don't know. There's a certain energy to DDR third mix through fifth mix music that never really came back in later DDRs, but Erotic is definitely a part of that energy. But for reasons, I was reminded that this band existed that I learned about from playing DDR, that we all Skojo had the album of all their songs that weren't in DDR. I have all their music.
I pirated them.
Yeah. And I remembered that this song existed. And then I remembered that I thought this song had a music video, and sure enough, it does. So I found the Erotic website, and I remember once I saw it, I remembered the video. So this is the official music video on the official Erotic YouTube channel to
Not Safe for Work.
Not Safe for Work. Max.
Obvious. If the name didn't give it away.
Max, don't have sex with your ex. This band's music, if you listen to at least the one album I know about, all the songs, if you line them up, tell the story of basically a fucked up polycule of people having ridiculous sex drama.
The songs do it. There is a story. It goes back this one where it's gets back with the ex, right? And then it's there's Nick, please not so quick.
Yep, I think that one was also in DDR.
Yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah, this music video is something. In the meta moment, we'll go quick because we've been going long. Geek Nights will be live at PAX East with a brand new talk about quitting on Thursday.
Brand new, mostly kind of new, maybe.
It's way more new than I expected, because the old talks we've given on this were quite scattered, and we are smarter and wiser and have learned more things since then, many more things. We will also be doing at least one unauthorized, not official tour of PAX with tour guide Scott and Rim.
Illicit, underground.
Yep. We'll sometime by I'd say early next week, we'll probably pick a time and post a schedule, but it's going to be fun. So if you're at PAX East, find us, check that out, come to our tour, because panel, that's going to be on YouTube. The tour, we're going to try to put it on YouTube, but we'll see how that works. But I feel like a thing like this is best experienced in the moment in person. Like watching a video of someone getting a tour of New York City is not the same as getting a tour of New York City by someone who knows New York City. And I got to say, Scott and I know a lot about PAX. Like a lot.
More than most.
I started writing like PAX facts to talk about at different points along the tour. And like I had to cut it down because there's so much you could say.
Yeah, this tour might end up being way too long, especially since we have to walk around the whole building, and not everyone walks like we do. And we'll probably have to stop in certain places. You know, it's like I don't know how many hours it'll be.
I think it's going to be fun. But if any of the listener are interested in helping us, if you could be trusted to hold a camera and point it at us, that is pre-configured.
Strong enough to hold a
yes. I'm not going to bring my giant camcorder, but it would be like we'll see. Well,
I could bring, if someone is strong enough, we could bring the gimbal to make it smooth.
Actually, now that I think about it, if I brought the camcorder, that's really comfortable to hold for a long period of time. Like that's the main purpose of a camcorder. The hard mode is I am coming straight from London to PAX. I'm going to stop home for a little while, and I will still have a broken arm at that point. I don't know if I can wrangle the camcorder on my own to PAX.
Yeah. Oh, we could hire a camera operator.
Oh, we could. But you know what? If there's a listener out there who promises not to drop my or Scott's camera, whichever one we hand you, we will pay you to camera us.
Insurance? You have insurance?
No. I guess I have renter's insurance.
I'm talking about the listener who's going to carry the camera. Are they insured?
Look, you have to not drop our cameras because our cameras are expensive. But if you're willing to do it, like we would pay you and credit you, and it would be fun. All right. I'm just going to jump into the main bit. But anyway, you can tell we go long and all the other bits when we don't do Geek Nights for a while and, when I break my arm. But risk is a topic we could talk about, considering that I chose the risk of skiing, which is low, I would argue. But I'm not going to say it's not real, because many activities that are fun or necessary do include risks. And I have a hypothesis that Scott and I have talked about a lot over the years, that most people are bad at a lot of things, but they are like stupidly bad at understanding the actual risk of pretty much anything bad that could happen, and they make poor decisions as a result. And I really highlight the era after 9/11, when so many people, even people I knew, were afraid of terrorists. Meanwhile, getting in a car for a short drive is way more likely to kill you than like all the terror that's ever happened in the world.
Yep, that's for sure. And
this seems like it's a pernicious problem, and I feel like by and large, people are just so bad. Like even D&D, people think like, you'll be fine, but if you roll less than a 5 on a 20-sided die, your character dies. And a lot of people will be like, 5? What are the odds of that? Like, I know the odds of that. 20. That's pretty high odds of a catastrophic outcome.
Well, I mean, if you're just talking about the topic of people being bad at risk assessment, I think a lot of that just comes from people's make decision based on, emotions that they have, right? That are legitimate, but the emotions that people feel rarely align with reality, right?
Yeah.
So somebody might be scared of bugs a lot, right? And so if you offered them, put your hand in this, box of completely harmless bugs, right? That will touch you and make you feel icky. So 100% chance of feeling icky, right? And said, or drive this car around the block, right? And it's like, right? It's like, okay, well, high chance of nothing bad happening, but chance of extremely bad, right? It's like people don't make decisions based on the true, right? People are more afraid to fly in a plane than they are to go in a car. People are more afraid of going to the dentist than the dental disease that will right give them bad, ruin the rest of their quality of life forever. And there's not, it's like there's only so much you can do about that, right? It's like, when is ever telling someone the odds convince them to right? It's like even in myself where it's like I recognize this problem clearly, right? And I try really hard to, make decisions based on the true risk of things, but it's like my fear of things and how I feel about them doesn't align always with the actual risk. So it's like, I'll decide to do something, like I force myself to decide to choose activities or decisions based on numbers. But a lot of times I find myself, doing something that, doesn't feel like the safer option, but I'm forcing myself to go that way because I've assessed the numbers somehow.
Well, like
but most people don't do that.
Sometimes you eat the raw cookie dough.
I do eat raw cookie dough.
I mean, for me, because I would say for the way I live my life, I'm a fairly risk-averse person. And I think a lot of people have a perception that, because I am pretty fearless, but I think that's an unrelated thing. It's that a lot of people overestimate the risk of things I am doing or underestimate how much preparation I put into doing those things. Like an example would be way back in Beacon. There's that fire watchtower, which now they've restored. There's a stairway. Like it's a perfectly safe, like official thing you can climb. But when we lived in Beacon, it was just a rusty tower with no stairs. Like you had to climb it to get into this thing. And this is well, tetanus, you got tetanus shot, you're good.
Yeah. Mostly.
Though I had to get a tetanus shot because when they were like, when did your last tetanus shot? And I remembered, but they said the new guidance at the ER is every 5 years, not every 10 years.
Oh. Right.
So I had to recover from this injury while also having the tetanus shot, which is one of the less comfortable of the shots you can get. But anyway, when I first encountered this thing, I was up on the mountain by myself, and I really wanted to get on top of it because it was going to be an amazing view. But I'm not stupid. First, I'm sitting there looking at my phone, like, because I got a little bit of internet, like researching, like, has anyone written anything about this tower? When was it built? Like, has anyone died on it? Is there a warning about it? And it seemed like I couldn't find anything. Then I walked around it for like 20 minutes, like assessing, like, is it still bolted down? Like, I really checked this thing out. And then I carefully climbed like halfway up, and I shook it a little bit, and then I climbed back down. I thought about it, and then I made the decision, I'm going to climb to the top. And I climbed to the top, and it was amazing. But then, like months later, a bunch of our friends were visiting in Beacon, and we go for a hike. Scott didn't come. And we see the watchtower, and one of our friends is like, ooh, can we go up that? And I'm like, yeah. It's pretty safe. I've been on it. Let's go. So we go.
One at a time, maybe.
Yeah. So I spider climb up this thing. And meanwhile, everyone else has this impression that I'm climbing this extremely dangerous thing because they did not see the preparation and care that I put in advance. Not that I was hiding it. I just didn't think to because this was just something I did on my own. But that's kind of how I live my life. Like I assess things very carefully if I think there's risk, and I am a pretty risk-averse person. Like I gave up mountain biking.
I think you may be, the problem with that is that like there could be, if you're only going based on your own assessment, right? It's like, what, did you do like you bring out an engineer, do a structural analysis? It's like, no, you're just, right? It's like,
oh yeah,
you're just trusting your own judgment. Like
I am trusting my own judgment, which means I have to
Yeah.
constantly consider the risk that my judgment is faulty. So like in that
I
example,
think you might overestimate the quality of your judgment.
but in that example, I did have experience with urban exploration. As you know, I got all those photo albums. So I had done many more dubious things in the past. So I was pretty capable of assessing if that tower was dangerous to climb at that time.
Yeah, see, I don't trust. See, my trust level for assessments, right, of anything, it's like I don't even trust my own self, right? It's like, we talk about things like, placebo effects and all sorts of situations like that. It's like, you cannot. I don't trust if my own body tells me something, I do not believe it, right? I'm like, you're just lying to me. You're susceptible to all these sorts of cognitive, right, fallacies and whatnot. So
That's
I don't
an
trust
instinct
you.
that I've thought about a lot. That I have this, it's an instinct that I follow almost like a heuristic very explicitly. Anytime there is something I want to do that is probably dangerous and I catch myself minimizing the risks too quickly, I always stop and say, hey, am I minimizing those risks just because I really want to do the thing? Or is there some reason why I have reduced that risk in my mind? And if I can't...
It goes the other way also. My body might be telling me something is really dangerous, right? And I have to basically do nothing until I get some sort of empirical assessment, right? To make a decision of what to do in whatever scenario.
And it's really hard to fine tune that. So I guess mostly we can just talk like how we assess it. Because I think about risk in terms of what is the likelihood of a bad outcome? And parallel to that, what are the consequences of a bad outcome? And the combination of the two.
It might be very likely bad outcome, but small consequences. It's like, all right.
Like very likely my D&D character will die. Consequence, oh no, a D&D character died. Like, okay.
Exactly.
But, or it might be like the concept in like rock climbing or skiing or mountain biking of a no-fall zone, which means this is a segment of like a rock climbing area where it's not saying how dangerous the area is in terms of like difficulty. All it's saying is you cannot fall during that section. Like guaranteed bad outcome if you fall during that section. That's a no-fall zone. So I've climbed no-fall zones before, but they were trivial. It's more like you have to step across this rock to this other rock, and it's easy. Like your foot can make it to the other side. But if somehow you fuck this up, you will die. Mm-hmm. And that's a decision like I will take the potentially deadly risk if the likelihood of the outcome is truly negligible. But again, truly is a load-bearing word there.
I mean, like, the odds of a plane crashing is really, really low.
Yeah,
it's not zero.
And the outcome is insanely catastrophic.
Yeah, if it goes down, your odds of survival are so low.
Yeah, unless you're over the Hudson, apparently.
Again, I don't know.
Again,
it's really low. But I want to get back to your D&D case, right? I think there's a lot of scenarios in everyday life where people are trying to avoid a consequence that is of no consequence, right? It's like they're playing a video game and they're scared of dying. It's like if that ever like I'm playing Resident Evil right now, so it's like anytime I find myself being scared in Resident Evil, it's like, oh, if the zombie eats me, I'm just gonna load a save. It's like
when I was playing those Five Nights at Freddy's games before we found out that the guy who made him is a piece of shit. I'm playing them to be jump scared on purpose. So like being afraid of the jump scare would almost be silly. It's like I'm trying to scare myself. That's the whole point of the game.
Right. Games are an obvious, a space where there's no consequence. But
well, I think that's the point. Games.
There's other situations too. It's like where I think there are sort of imagined consequences, right? When
public speaking is one of the biggest ones, I think.
Public speaking is one, right? It's like, okay, you get up and you speak, and so first of all, for public speaking, there's a self-fulfilling prophecy where if you're nervous about it, because you are nervous, you will do a bad job because you're acting nervous. If you are not nervous, you will do a better job. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But on top of that, what if you go up and do public speaking and do a really shitty job, right? What is the worst thing that can possibly happen? It's like no one's going to like boo you. Maybe they'll walk out, or it's like the convention won't invite you back again.
Yep. You've all been to conventions. A lot of panels are stinkers. Do you even remember the names of anyone who was on stage at a cringy bad panel you saw?
Right. Are you going to maybe you say something like racist, which you can't do by accident. You have to already be a piece of shit, and the convention bans you. It's like the possible consequences of just doing bad, right, are so low. And the same, what's the upside of doing good? If you do a great job, they'll invite you back again.
Yeah.
It's like there is no huge upside either, right? It's like there's nothing, what can possibly happen?
Yep. I think it's partly there's some people will catastrophize where like when I'm doing like my extreme sports, I am aware that I could like hurt myself badly. Like when I broke my arm, my thought was not, oh no, I broke my arm. Oh, this is the end of the world. My thought was, well, this was a possible outcome based on the decisions I have made up to this point, and the crows have come home, the chickens have roosted. Here I am, lying in the decision I made.
Another one this one always bothers me because I feel like I was lied to for my whole childhood, right? It's how important grades are, right? It's like when I was in like elementary school, middle school, right? They'd always talk about like, oh, your life's gonna be ruined if you fail these classes, then you won't get this, you won't get right. It's like it felt like there was some, even though it wasn't ever like incredibly explicit, it was all there was this sort of strong implication that I fully internalized that like the bad grades would mean my life is like ruined. And there's no, you can't, it's like you can do the class again or like redo seventh grade.
Here,
and
Scott's like a world-class software engineer. I'm like a rich finance guy.
Right. And it's like, it doesn't, there are people when I got to college who had high school grades way worse than me, right? There are people who got the same, who actually graduated from the same college with the same degree as me, who ended up in wildly different places in life, better and worse than I did, right? It's like, I got through college with not great grades. I just got enough to pass, and nobody ever checked. It's like there are certain things in life where your GPA and such might
Well, like
matter,
I had to.
right?
My career depended. Well, my career and being in college, if I dropped below a 3.4, I couldn't have been hired by IBM because that was the minimum GPA required to get that job.
Certain employers that when they're hiring people fresh out of school are looking at that.
And RIT would have kicked me out because my scholarship depended on being above a 3.4.
Right. And well, you could have gotten the money from somewhere else.
Are you kidding? You remember how poor I was in college?
But I'm saying the RIT wouldn't have kicked you out for bad grade. They would have kicked you out
for lack of money.
No,
RIT would back then. I mean, the square root club, meaning your GPA increases if you take the square root, existed for a reason.
But it's like, what's the risk of like, not studying for this test? It's like you could fail that test actually, and the rest of your life would be the same, and it probably wouldn't matter at all.
Remember, you were there. There was one like toward the end of college. I had a class I had to take to graduate, and I have to pass this class at some point, or I do not get a diploma. But I had plenty of quarters left. It wasn't like the end of my college time. It wasn't like now or never. And this class kind of sucked, and I didn't want to go to the lab. I wanted to watch the Scrap Princess anime instead. And I decided, I was sitting on the couch. I was like, I don't want to go to the lab. And I said out loud, fuck it. I'm just going to fail the class. And then I watched all of Scrap Princess that weekend instead. I failed the class. And guess what? I still graduated. Here I am.
It's like, people just aren't making decisions based on the true probabilities of things happening and the true consequences of things happening or not. And that causes, as much as I try to do that, you can't, it's impossible for like a person to do that. Right. And so I think the key is just, the real problem, I think, is part of the reason our society is failing is because even if individual humans are incapable of doing this perfectly,
systems can do it.
Right. We can and should set policy, organizational and societal policy, in line with empirical data on risk and consequences.
Yep.
And then it wouldn't really matter so much if individual people are like, not making poor decisions. I mean, that would add up to some amount of harm here and there.
But you know what? I'm going to argue
big harms come from societal and organizational level decisions that do not align with risk correctly.
Yep. I mean, think of all the people in New York City who are afraid to go into the subway because they're afraid of violence because they're dumb, so they take a cab. Meanwhile, getting into a cab in New York City is one of the most dangerous things you can do in New York City.
Yeah, well, I mean, because that's the thing is they read one story. It happens occasionally, but it's like they read a story about like people getting pushed, and it's like, were those true stories? Yes, but it's like the number of times that happens compared to the number of people who ride the subway. It's like you might be better off buying a lottery ticket. You should be more scared of winning the lottery by accident than by getting.
That's a good line. You should be more scared of winning the lottery than the thing you just said you're afraid of.
Right. It's like people in the suburbs, they think the city is scary. It's like, well, yeah, the city has millions and millions of people in it. If you watch the evening news, no matter what night it is, no matter how safe it is in the city right now, there will always be a handful of stories enough to fill one local news broadcast with nonstop crime stories,
Yep.
right? No matter whether there's 1,000 crimes or 5, they only need like 5 crimes, right? And with this many people, you're never going to get below 5 crimes. And so there will always be 5 scary stories for them to tell in the evening news at all times, no matter what, right? You have to look at the numbers and also make sure the cops aren't lying about those numbers. You got to really look, right?
Yep.
But in your suburb, you might not have those stories on the news. It's like because there's only tens of thousands of people there, and so there wasn't any crime today. And you think, it's safe here. There has only been like 1 crime story on the news all month. It's like, yeah, but 1 out of 50,000 versus 5 out of 5 million. It's like the odds of you being a crime victim are way higher actually in your suburb. It's way more dangerous than being here in New York City.
Yeah.
You're just not assessing risk on an empirical basis.
And I guess the last thing, because this ties into my job and my professional history too, is in terms of what you do about risk, you either, like the only real 3 options are avoid the thing, like avoid the risk. Like if you're afraid, if you don't want to accept the risk of hurting yourself skiing, you can avoid that risk 100% by not skiing. Like that's a valid decision. Or
unless it's a thing you have to do, which skiing is not one of those things.
The second option, mitigate the risk, meaning, all right, I'm going to ski. You know what I do? I wear a fucking helmet. I took professional lessons. Like
I have to fly in this tiny airplane. Tiny airplanes are really dangerous compared to big airplanes. Let me wear a parachute the whole time and get some training on how to use it and maybe even practice with it and et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, mitigate the risk. And the third thing you can do, there's only 3 things, is accept the risk, meaning if you're going to do the activity and there's no further way to mitigate the risk and you can't avoid the risk, you have to at least be eyes open about accepting the possibility that the thing that you identified as a risk will come to pass. Accepting it means accepting it. Case in point.
Well, I think there's another, unless you're counting this as mitigation, which you could arguably, but buying insurance is not quite the same as mitigation.
I think they're in the same category in a lot of frameworks, but I agree they're distinct.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference between preventing the risky thing from happening versus having a way to deal with the consequences of the risk.
Exactly. It's like buying insurance means you suffer the full consequences, right? You didn't mitigate them at all. The full bad thing happened.
Full life consequences.
But you received a compensatory benefit somehow.
Well, here,
to try to even the scales.
Here, there's a full example here. Broken arm. I chose to ski. So I have accepted the risk. I mitigated the risk with my training by wearing a helmet, like all the things I do. But also,
if you weren't wearing a helmet, you'd be in bad
I probably would have had a proper concussion. That helmet,
or worse.
Yep. But also, I have health insurance. So I got the extremely expensive fancy surgery that like you otherwise couldn't get. If you don't have health insurance, the risk calculus, in the United States, the calculus of skiing is way different. In fact, the calculus of doing most things is way different. Because like biking, a friend of ours broke his collarbone real bad on a really like light local simple bike trip. Like random stuff happens sometimes. If he didn't have health insurance, he would have been fucked.